word hackers, they think of people breaking into bank accounts and hacking government websites, but actually the term hacker has a very positive connotation. It's about somebody who takes something that exists and changes it to help solve a problem. So you can be a hacker of software, of code, but you can also be a hacker of physical things, making tables. You can hack together a table, or you can hack together a building. And so this idea of taking something that exists and using it in a new way, that's a hacker.
A hacker is, I would say, a computer literate person, like an IT person, but someone who is able to connect the dots really quickly. So it's not a person who is like a traditional software developer or engineer, but someone who can actually make really fancy things happen within just a day.
So I think for a long time hackers have actually always been helpful. It's this misconception that hackers have always been malicious or dangerous, but I think we are seeing an increase in the number of people who are getting engaged as citizens and becoming hackers because they want to make the city a better place. So they take the things they have around them, remix them, use them in new ways, and try to invent new worlds.
When the internet was born, hackers just started playing with other people's computers. It's important to note that at the time, breaking into another person's computer was not illegal. They were just experimenting and seeing what was possible and how computer security worked. In the early 90s, we've seen an increase in laws which now actually prohibit computer crime, and you can go to jail for that. But that hasn't stopped the hacker movement. A lot of those people actually evolved in working on other projects. A lot of the activities of the hackers in the last 30 years have been beneficial for society. So Hack de Overheid is a community of hackers who want more open data, especially published by governments. And we thought, well, this government information is actually quite interesting. You can build a lot of cool stuff with it. But right now, the government is keeping a lot of that data to themselves.
We all came together with the idea that government should be open. And that if it's open, that more people can participate and make better, cooler stuff. So that's how we started it, and that's what we have been doing ever since. So it's going pretty nice.
Open data is a kind of jargon way of saying information that is accessible and reusable. So information about traffic or weather or what art pieces are hanging in the Rijksmuseum, how many kids go to what schools, all this information about the city, using it, putting it in a new context and helping people understand and make informed decisions.
For instance, a lot of companies and organizations have a lot of images and documents, but most of the time they put it in a database. Well, those databases, if you open them up and publish them on the internet, other people can use it, and with this open data they can build new applications.
So a hackathon is where you bring together a bunch of people who care about a particular subject or idea. So we're here today and we care about helping use information about the city in better ways. So there's journalists and educators and filmmakers and programmers, all sorts of people representing civic institutions coming together and saying, what can we build for Amsterdam that delivers value to the people that live here.
So we started organizing events, and now this is the 6th Hack de Overheid Hackathon. Actually, a lot of governments and public agencies are responding by releasing their data in the Netherlands, but also in Europe. We invite a lot of programmers, but of course recently also data owners. And we say, let's look at that new open data and let's see if we can build some interesting applications. So during the day, people are actually programming here on new apps and prototypes, sketching mock-ups, making new designs for possible applications. And at the end of the day, those people will present what they have been working on. A lot of government institutions opened up their data for today. The city of Amsterdam is one of them, but also the province of North Holland has released a lot of data, and the water management government institution Stichtse Rijnlanden has released the first water API. I think probably it's worldwide.
And what we did today is a workshop on open data to find out what subjects, what data are considered most interesting to start with all the local communities in North Holland. But the conclusion is that all themes are important, so that's what I learned. Not by purpose, but that's the conclusion anyway, it's valuable. I think the transparency aspect is very relevant, and the possibilities for economic innovation are very stimulating for people who want to develop apps or otherwise. We are definitely not unique in working on open data. There are other provinces that work on open data. There's also local communities and the national government. The city of Amsterdam has already started their second contest today. So there's more going on from the government side.
Open Culture Data is a network that we started in 2011 in September. I work at the Netherlands Institute for Sound and Vision, but there is a larger network in the Netherlands, the Innovators Network Heritage Sector. And so there's all these innovators in the heritage industry, and they really wanted to have people do something with collections. So together with Knowledgeland in Amsterdam, we started the network. What we did is we collected data sets from many museums and other cultural institutions in the Netherlands, like Rijksmuseum and Amsterdam Museum, and also from Sound and Vision. And we just gave the data and just wanted to see what would happen. And 13 apps were made within a month, and we're really happy with the results. So we have organized masterclasses, which were developed by Creative Commons Netherlands. And we have 17 people in the masterclass who are learning about technology and tools, about copyright and IPR, about what are the advantages and possible risks of open data, and those kind of topics. So we teach them how they can open up their data in a way in which it can be reused.
So this is the Data Journalism Lab, which is a kind of separate room from the main hacking hall. It's meant for journalists because journalists are more and more interested in data and getting news out of the data. And we got the people of ClickView here to help with their software, which allows for quick shifting through data. Well, so far there were a few things about energy labels, about which cities have the highest energy labels. Another thing that came out was a very nice tree map visualization of how ground is used in Amsterdam, and what percentage was used for office buildings, what percentage is used for schools, hospitals, and it's a really nice way to look at how ground is used in the city. I'm not sure if it'll already be tomorrow, but I've seen some things that could be news in a couple of days or weeks, and we also have some prizes for the best articles published because of this day.
Some people made quizzes based on the data. For instance, you see an image from the Rijksmuseum collection, and then the question is, who painted this? And which is really fun. But people also took data and really made mobile apps with it. So the guys from Glimworm ET in Amsterdam made an app that used videos from the collection of Sound and Vision. And so when you're somewhere, you can use the app and see, okay, which videos were recorded in this location. And then you can watch historical videos from like the 20s, 30s up until the 70s. And you can even stop the video, take a picture of how it was then and how it was now. Yeah, I think we've seen a couple of really nice ideas. Some people are working back there on creating links between, I think, 5 different data sets, cultural data sets that were opened up today. So that's very exciting, and we've seen other people think about how they can connect the data with tourist information, so that tourists are more stimulated to go also to smaller institutions with cultural collections. So far it looks really good.
Yeah, so we're from VU University, and we do we research linked open data and semantic technologies. So what we decided to do is to take some of the data sets that are in the open data cloud, open culture data, and we convert them to linked data, and we interlink them. So we started with the NIOD beeldbank data set, and we matched that with data from the 4 and 5 Mei committee, and we used it to also, we converted both to linked data and then found a lot of mappings, and now we're publishing it all as linked data so that it's easily usable for other people.
So it's 5 stars now.
5 stars linked
everyone
data.
5 stars.
So we get the 5-star mark.
Like my grandmother, has also has a small device and on a necklace, and it calls the nurse immediately. And what this app does is, now that app does exactly the same. When you press a button on a mobile device or on a computer, it messages the nurse, but just a bit more modern. So when I push that button, in a few seconds, or depending on your internet, it gives a message that it's an emergency, and then you know you can go to.
Yeah, I've seen lots of cool healthcare applications. People doing lobby relationship management, so you can see who has been in the same board and whether they're still friends, and you can see how the society is organized in a way that's not really obvious. So who are friends with each other, and why are political decisions made as they are made? That's a nice project. It's called Toeval of Niet.
We developed a tool which is called Toeval of Niet, coincidence or not. And what we're trying to do is basically to find the interest relations between politicians and people in business or other influential people, because currently the Dutch Parliament doesn't allow access to the data on lobbyists, so who's lobbying on Parliament. We don't know which businesses are actually influencing our politicians. So what we're basically doing is we're scraping a lot of sources. So for example, this is me, Steph, and a colleague of mine, for example, Henk Wolbers, and this could be the case if you're a journalist and you're investigating something. I want to know the relation between those two people. You just say find relations, and what it will tell you is, okay, Stefan Grieke works for Google, and Google has an employee called Henk Wolbers. And in that case, you know what the influence relation is, and that could be a basis for you as a journalist to continue your research. So, for example, if you were to have a lobbyist that lobbies for a specific tech organization, for example, IBM, and you have members of parliament from a specific party that have an opinion about IBM, if you would enter those people in this application, you would see who the central person is. So he would have all the relations with the people from IBM, but also all of the relations with the people from the parliament. And in that case, that's in social network theory, you call that the broker. And if you know who the broker is, you know how information flows in between those two specific groups. So that's very interesting for a journalist.
I think last year we really closed a lot of stuff. Not closed. We opened so much stuff last year that it was sort of a watershed year for open data, I think. Like, there was really big app competitions for the Netherlands, for Amsterdam. All of that stuff last year made a massive difference, that even the Prime Minister and the Minister of Economic Affairs said that open data is good. So that was the year of open data. And this year we're going to just go on that path. But it's become so much easier that it's now going downhill instead of uphill.
It's the first step in finding out how to start this with all the local communities, and we'll continue this process, and we sure will open more data because we want to join this movement.
It's gotten way better, everything. Government openness, also the events have been getting bigger. It's just it's been a roller coaster.